Chosen one, stop right now. Don't scroll. Don't blink. Don't tell yourself you'll come back later. Because heaven does not interrupt people. The fact that you stopped here, even for a second, means something ancient just leaned forward in the unseen. This is not background noise. This is not another video. This is not something to half listen to. This is a divine interruption. And interruptions only happen when what comes next is too important to miss. You felt it, didn't you? That sudden stillness, that quiet pull in your chest, that strange awareness that this moment matters more than most. That wasn't curiosity. That wasn't coincidence. That was recognition. Chosen one, God interrupted you for a reason. And if you leave now, you may walk past a turning point your soul has been waiting for. Stay. The interruption has only just begun. Listen carefully. God does not interrupt comfort. He interrupts direction. He doesn't stop people who are aligned. He stops people who are about to miss something essential. You've been moving, busy, productive, responsible, doing what needed to be done. But somewhere along the way, motion replaced meaning. And God says, I had to interrupt you before momentum carried you too far away from who you are. That's why this interruption feels urgent. That's why it feels personal. That's why it feels like time slowed down the moment you stopped. You weren't doing anything wrong. You just weren't listening anymore. So God paused your world, chosen one, that restlessness you've been feeling. It wasn't dissatisfaction. It wasn't ingratitude. It wasn't weakness. It was a signal, a warning light on your spirit. You tried to ignore it. You told yourself you were tired. You blamed stress. You blamed circumstances. You blamed seasons. But the truth is simpler, and your soul was drifting from alignment, not into sin, not into destruction, but into distraction. And distraction is far more dangerous because it feels harmless. So God interrupted you. This interruption carries weight because it removes excuses. God is not asking you how you feel. He is not negotiating. He is not offering suggestions. He is saying, come back to me. Come back to center. That's why some things suddenly feel empty. That's why conversations feel shallow. That's why environments feel heavy. That's why certain relationships feel draining, not because they're evil, but because they no longer match your assignment. God interrupts when you start surviving in places you were meant to lead. Chosen one, hear this slowly. You were never designed to fit everywhere. You were never called to chase everything. You were never meant to carry expectations that weren't authored by heaven. And the reason you've always felt slightly out of place, even when things were fine, is because fine was never you. God interrupts people who are set apart because blending in would destroy what He placed inside them. You are not too sensitive. You are not too intense. You are not too different. You are misaligned with the ordinary. Let's talk about the doors that closed, the opportunities that didn't work, the plans that collapsed, the things you were sure would last. You thought God was delaying you, but He was protecting you. Some doors closed not because you weren't ready, but because staying would have cost you your purpose. God interrupts trajectories that look good on the outside, but lead nowhere on the inside. And He closed those doors before they became prisons. God is not trying to fix your schedule. He's restoring your identity. You've been doing so much that you forgot who you are when you're still. You've been carrying responsibility so long that you forgot intimacy with God comes before productivity. So God says, sit with me before you move again. This interruption is not punishment. It's reintroduction. God reminding you of the version of yourself you were before fear taught you to shrink. Chosen one. Nothing you endured was wasted. The betrayals trained discernment. The delays trained patience. The loneliness trained dependence. The pressure trained endurance. You thought you were just surviving, But heaven was shaping capacity because purpose requires strength, and strength is not formed in comfort. Like, God interrupts when training is complete and it's time to deploy. This moment feels heavy because clarity carries responsibility. Once God interrupts you like this, you can't pretend you didn't hear him. Silence ends today. Confusion begins to lift. Excuses lose power. This interruption removes options. Because when God calls you back to alignment, he's not asking for part-time obedience. He's calling you fully. Not perfection, not performance, not comparison, not pressure. God is asking for alignment. To walk with him again, to listen before acting, to choose obedience over approval, to stop measuring your life by the wrong metrics. Your job is not to impress the world. Your job is not to chase applause. Your job is not to compete. Your job is to walk with God. Everything else finds its place after that. Here's the suspenseful truth. Interruptions always precede movement. After this moment, things will change. Some people will fade. Some desires will lose urgency. Some paths will no longer call your name. And peace will begin to replace pressure. You won't need to force doors anymore. What's meant for you will come with clarity, not chaos. God interrupted you to realign you, and alignment unlocks momentum. Chosen one, God didn't interrupt you to scare you. He interrupted you to save time. Time you would have spent chasing, time you would have spent forcing, time you would have spent surviving. He stopped you now because the next chapter requires awareness. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You were simply interrupted for a reason. If something in your spirit just settled, if clarity quietly entered, if you feel like God just spoke directly to you, take a breath and type Amen. Not out of habit, but as agreement. And stay close. Because when God interrupts like this, it's only the beginning. Chosen one, before you leave this moment, don't rush past what just happened. If something in this message stilled your spirit, if clarity replaced confusion, if you felt like God spoke directly into your situation, that was not emotional. That was alignment. Right now, take one small but powerful step of agreement. Type Amen in the comments. Not out of habit, not for people, but as a quiet declaration to heaven that you heard God and you're willing to respond. And if your spirit knows this message was meant for you, if you don't want to miss the next interruption God sends, subscribe now. This channel is not about noise, hype, or pressure. It's about staying aligned, staying aware, and staying close to God's voice in critical moments. Finally, if you know someone who's been feeling restless, confused, or spiritually disconnected, someone who feels like God has been quiet, share this message with them. This could be the interruption their soul has been waiting for. Remember this, you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You were interrupted for a reason. Stay ready, stay aligned, and stay close because this conversation with God isn't finished yet.